Hello everybody, I'm Face, and today I'll be discussing with you how you should be using Himbrr in Loomian Legacy PvP. Now, I'm still covering popular Loomians, like I did with Zulong, now Himbrr, and I recently held a poll, and Umbrat will be after this, but pay attention to my Twitter in the community area of YouTube. I don't know how that works, but I'll just also be having polls on who I should be doing, in the future, so pay attention to those. But back to Himbrr. We all know it's extremely defensive with its 132 HP and 115 defense, and then 75 range defense that gives it the weakness that every Loomian should have. But yeah, I don't know when its HP is getting lowered, but it's getting lowered at some point to like 124 or something. But at the time of recording, it's got 132, so we're going to assume 132. But what makes Himbrr so? What makes Himbrr a threat, or I don't think it's that threatening, but everybody else does. But it's really hard to kill it with a neutral hit. It's just its bulk is that great. Neutral hits, it eats them for breakfast. So that already makes it just a general sponge. Being able to take neutral hits, like I just said. It also has access to Icicle Trap. And if you know Pokemon, that's essentially Stealth Rocks, but Ice type. So it has a base damage of 1/8 of the opponent's max health, and then it takes type advantage into account. So if it's Air type or Bug type, it's going to take 25%, and if its secondary typing is also weak to Ice, it's taking a whopping 50%. And the same goes with resistances too, it'll do less. But yeah, Icicle Trap. And Icicle Trap is basically carrying its popularity right now. It's also one of the. I guess. Is it really few? A lot of stuff can hit Seer Knight really hard, but it's one of the few that can just straight out one-hit KO Seer Knight. So that's already a plus. And since Seer Knight's like really freaking good, I'd put it at like number 2 of the metagame right now, right behind Zulong. And then another thing it has is that it also resists Gust. So as an Ice type, it resists the Air typing. So the two Gust users, Cynamoth and Avitross, find it really hard to come in against him, since 1, it resists Air, 2, they're weak to Ice, and 3, he can just put them right back up anyway. So kind of deters Gust from being used as a method of clearing the hazards away. But other than that, I really don't find too many more pluses for it. Its defensive typing isn't that great. Being weak to fire, water, brawler, grass, or plant, metal. I think I said that already. But yeah, it's weak to a lot of stuff. But what makes it kind of meh for me is that its damage output is really not that high unless you're clicking Yeti's Wrath or hitting you're hitting a Florent or Cynamoth with Chili Chomp. And then clicking Yeti's Wrath is already a disadvantage in itself, because then you're locked into it and you can be easily taken advantage of by going into things like Tata. So yeah, you're passive, and when you're not, you're basically saying, okay, I'm ready to die. Then another downside is that while it does threaten Seer Knight also threatens the crap out of it. It can't one-shot Himbrr, but it can two-shot. And it gets rid of Icicle Trap just by existing, so yay. And then, add on its lack of actual recovery. You have to use the Health Amulet to get any kind of recovery, and that makes it really easy to wear down. So yeah, it has its pros and it has quite a few cons, but basically, if you're going to run Himbrr, I suggest going especially defensive routes, since Zulong is so big and it doesn't have very many answers, Himbrr being the most reliable of them. So you're going to want to have Clever with a Health Amulet, like I said earlier. But if you have another Health Amulet user like Vesperatu, you could go Heavy Shield, but I suggest going Health Amulet on this one. You want 200 HP. You'll want 200 special defense or range defense. Again, I gotta get used to that whole spiel. and then 100 defense to round out the EVs. You could go physically defensive, which would make your matchup versus Umbrat a little better. Umbrat does about 32 to 40 if you're specially defensive, and then it does about a third if you're physically defensive. So if that's just a give and take there. Zulong will do about a third if you're not specially defensive, and then slightly under a third if you are. So again, it's who do you want to wall better? I suggest the special, since Zulong has less answers than, well, I guess Umbrat doesn't have very many answers either. Like just straight up defensive answers, I should say. But Umbrat has better answers, I should say. So I suggest going specially defensive. And you want to run Yeti's Wrath because that's your offensive option, and you know it does big damage when you do click it. There are times you can use it, you can and should use it. Chili Chomp or Winter's Fury. I prefer Chili Chomp. Winter's Fury just doesn't give back enough energy unless you're hitting things like Florant, or just hitting 3 times in general. If you hit 3 times, it gives a decent amount of energy back, but other than that, I'd prefer Chili Chomp. You definitely want Icicle Trap. It puts pressure on the opposing team and can bait in Seer Knight to eat something off, eat a big hit. And then you can either run Quick Punch for just, you know, putting stuff in range before Himbrr goes down, or dodge to stall out some energy. So Himbrr's one of those, like I said earlier, you know, it's a neutral sponge. Well, I shouldn't say sponge, because sponge implies that it can get stuff back. But it can take neutral hits, so it's pretty splashable on any team. Everything in the game pretty much benefits from having a Himbrr. Like if you have a Zulong, it's weak to Borak or another Himbrr, and Himbrr eats the hits. If you have a Seer Knight, it's weak to Zulong. You can go into your Himbrr and take hits from that. If your Tatab is weak to Avatros, Himbrr comes in and beats that up. So yeah, it's just pretty good. It's just a generalist when it comes to, you know, its defensive nature. It does pretty well, but it does things like Tatab, Seer Knight, Smart, Max Range Attack, Luminami do threaten the crap out of it, so it can't wall everything. But yeah, it's got some, like I said, it's pretty splashable, I guess. I'm struggling to find words. It's only like my 12th time trying to record this. I just can't find the flow in these things. But yeah, Himbrr, like Zulong, it's not very hard to use in the fact that it just kind of, you come in with Zulong, you go in or go out and click buttons to do big damage. With Himbrr, you come in, take the hits, and either put up Icicle Trap or threaten things like Seer Knight out with Yeti's Wrath or Zulong. So yeah, there's really not too much depth to Himbrr. It can wall stuff, but plenty of common things like Seer Knight, Tatab, and Luminami that give him problems. He is very passive, except against Seer Knight, and very easy to take advantage of. So if you're going to use Himbrr, you really got to know when you're clicking that Yeti's Wrath. It's really important. You can't just click Yeti's Wrath the first time you see a Zulong. You can actually beat it 1v1 just by clicking Chili Chomp or Winter's Fury. So Yeti's Wrath is basically when everything on their team is whittled down enough for your offensive threats to come in and do big, you know, either sweep or, yeah, basically sweep. Or if they can clean up, Himbrr's done its job, and you can click the Yeti's Wrath to do big damage. But other than that, you really don't want to click it and then just risk losing your Himbrr. So that's basically all I have for Himbrr. Umbrat's next. Vote for who I should do next after that, and I apologize for like how rushed this sounds, feels. I've got other stuff I need to be doing, so I'll see you all in another video.